Hi, my name is Jeannie, and I am a goal setting coach, and I help make your dreams into reality. So, who am I? So, what makes me qualified to teach about manifestation and law of attraction? Um, so I started watching The Secret. I started in 2006, 2007 with the movie The Secret, and after that I became a Buddhist. I actually opened up my path to become a Buddhist, and follow this path. But anyway, it started with that, and I was manifesting a lot. After that, I was like manifesting money, and it was really magical. But the thing I noticed about it is that, yeah, the techniques do work, but they're not very consistent. And eventually there's like I call it like a rubber band like effect. Like I would go only this far, but then I would go back. I would go this far and only go back. And I realized through studying and basically just experiencing and taking certifications, reading a lot of books, doing trial and error, I realized that sure, the visualization and like manifesting really works, but what really works for the long term is creating that new version of yourself. It's basically all tied to your identity and the structures you have in place. So if you're new to manifesting, this might be too advanced. So you can review my other videos. But if you're not new to manifesting, this may sound familiar. So basically, I literally like manifested a job in New York. It was like the most impossible thing. Was able to live and work in America, manifested a relationship. I literally listed down all of the qualities that I was looking for in a guy, and it was all check marks, ticked all the boxes. It was perfect. And then in 2017, around that time, 2017, 2018, basically around 2018, it all came crashing down. So my boyfriend at that time left me for someone else, and like I had to travel from New York, New Jersey to Colorado, and then from there I moved to New Mexico, and now I'm in Texas. So it was a really, really trying time, and I was like, what happened? Like everything was going fine. I was finally in a place where I had a stable job. I loved my workplace. I also manifested that workplace too. I love my boss. I love my coworkers, and like I seemingly had the perfect life. But then it just like a rubber band, poof! It just set me back to square one. So I was thinking like, what is going on? Why can I only go this far but not far further? So I realized that there was something that was up with that. There was like a principle I wasn't aware of. And that principle is actually, it all boils down to the structures that you have in place. And when I say structures, it's your personality, it's your beliefs, it's your self-limiting beliefs, if it's your self-esteem, it's all of the conscious and unconscious stuff, but most of it is unconscious. And made me realize like, oh yeah, because I did have that belief that I'm not worthy enough for a guy to stay with me. And because when I looked at it, almost all of my relationships ended up with like they chose someone else. And then so I really had to look into myself and did a lot of coaching, and I, of course, going through depression as well. The worst depression that you could think, because you were like, what happened? I'm like doing law of attraction. I've been doing this for years. I'm really good at it. I mean, look at all the things I've manifested. I kid you not, the index card, I ticked off, crossed out a lot because it really worked. Like you would even say 100%, and manifested money and stuff like that. But it would all go back like this, like a rubber band, push, like, always go back. And then I realized through trial and error, through experience, I was able to finally realize that, yeah, it's the techniques that you use, maybe they help for a bit, but it's actually your identity. So, and so I read up about like, how do you switch your identity? How do you like, you know, turn into someone better? And actually that thing takes time. When I say it takes time, it means you have to develop into that character, the new person that you want to be, the new version of yourself. And that takes experience, and that takes time. And that takes a lot of self-reflection. You can't just affirm your way to a new personality. You cannot like just say, oh, I'm gonna listen to subliminals for like a month and then boom, I have a new personality. It doesn't work that way. Although I must say though, the clearing techniques that I'm using and the subconscious reprogramming techniques that I'm using, it does help. But what really helps is living and being the person that you want to be. So you have to be in that state of being. And yeah, Bacon wants to join again. Oh my God. Yeah, because this is his story too. So he wants to join again. I don't know, he just wants to join. And anyway, you really have to be in that. Here's Bacon, by the way. So he's part of the story because like, yeah, we went to through that journey together. He's like a northeast, he's from Virginia. He's a Virginian dog, moved to New York and New Jersey, and then we moved to Colorado and he loved it there. In the New Mexico, he didn't really like it there, right? It was a desert. And then now he's in Houston, where, you know, we go out. Yeah, we can go out in bars, right, Baba? Anyway, so you really have to be that person. And when, you know, my cousin, she started me on this journey, she always says, it's be, do, and have. Before you can even have, and before you do things, you really have to be. And that takes that part of your, I call it human revolution, that part of your development. It takes time. You got to get there by living it, you know? You have to live and embody the new version of yourself. And you really have to make decisions as well. It's like, do I want to stay in this loop? I don't know if you've heard of Groundhog Day. So that's a perfect example. So he was just trapped in this day. It was looping. I think I read about it. He was looping for 10 years. So based on what I've read, I think over 10 years, like it was a decade. It was just going back. It's like that rubber band. It's like, boom, you go back to where you started. And then it's really taking a long, hard look at the person that you are right now. And just to really reflect, like, is this the person that needs to change in order for things to change, you know? What can I change within myself that will lead me to a better life for myself? And for me, it was a necessity because I had to really go through that. There was no way of like tapping around it, you know, of making things like, oh, I want this to go away, you know, especially with the depression. I really had to go through it, and just so that I could emerge into a different person that I am right now, which is like, I just laugh things off now. I mean, when negative things happen, other people believe it as negative. For me, it's just, it's not necessarily negative. It's more like, that's life. And you have to be accepting that when you manifest, you're not always going to be manifesting the good and the positive. You're also going to manifest the other stuff, you know. It's like a package deal. It's like, you know, it has to come with what we perceive as bad, but in the longer and the higher perspective, they're not really bad. The things that happened to me since 2018, I'm really grateful for it actually, because I turned into a different person, and a better person, because right now I just am in this point in my life, I'm happier. Nothing can faze me. And it's like when you lose it all, you have exactly, you're left with exactly what you need. So all the other stuff, the frills, do you really need it? You know, so, and now with that, also with that experience, I was able to find my mission and vision in life, aside from teaching and stuff. So I'm also writing. So I became a writer and was able to produce maybe 7 or 8 books. Now I lost count, you know, and I'm in the process of churning out a new one. I have to finish it actually. And there's more books lined up, and there's more content to create, and then there's more videos like this to create, and there's more blogs to do, and more podcasts to do. So it was because I lost it all that I was able to realize that the greatest lesson is, you know, your human revolution, your change, the change from within, and the person that you become, and the person that you embody. So right now, I could never have imagined what I gained. If you told me like a year ago that I'd move, maybe not a year, maybe 3 years ago that I'd move to Texas, and then I'd be a writer, and I'd be producing content, and I'd be like, you know, doing all these other certifications. I was already doing that, but right now it's like more higher level stuff. I would tell you like, you're crazy, you're insane, like what, you know, because I never would have imagined the life that I have right now before. And the life that I have now is even more expansive, and I know it's going to become even more and more and more and more expansive, because I know the principle, which is, it really is about being, then doing before you have. So be accepting and be kind to yourself. It's your manifesting journey. No matter how much I try to teach you or give you techniques, you have to take what you perceive as the bad with the good. And sometimes the bad does really make you think about like, what is the good in this bad, you know? So it's like a little mind shift, and you really have time to self-reflect. And because it's not all roses, you know, the rose, in order to truly appreciate it, you have to realize that there's also thorns. And therefore, because you know there's thorns, you know where to touch it, right? You don't touch it where the thorns are. So it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, so that's just my little talk, which I wanted to share because it's really important. And yeah, being is really the most important thing of all in manifestation. And it's not the things you accumulate per se, but the things that you experience and get out of your experiences on the way to your journey. And thank you very much, and thanks for listening.